بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين على أمور الدنيا والدين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم، وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا رحيم. اللهم آمين. وبعد. Alhamdulillah, we're in the 23rd night of Ramadan, and we ask Allah Ta'ala to assist us in these nights with worship and devotion, and to make the end of our Ramadan better than our first. Allahumma Ameen. Tonight I want to speak about a topic that's connected to our deen, but a little different than what I've been speaking about this series of Ramadan talks, and that's the topic about the mind, and just a little bit, inshallah ta'ala, of perspective about what our deen says, and just the condition of society, our condition. And so, first and foremost, our deen has come with an emphasis on certain things. One is our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first and foremost, to worship Allah. And that's our purpose for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, to know Him, to believe in His oneness, to submit to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala in the tawheed of Allah. Also, our deen has come to benefit humanity and to benefit the creation. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave us this deen for our benefit. And that's captured in our deen time and time again. When we look at, for example, we can just speak about some of the teachings of Islam, the prohibition of, for example, khamr, zina, the prohibition of theft, the prohibition of any type of crime, murder, the protection of people's wealth, the prohibition of backbiting, the prohibition of insulting and slandering others, the command to be just, right? Because we can't harm Allah. What is justice for? Justice is for us, right? Justice is for us to be fair with each other. The command to be compassionate. We need rahmah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need rahmah from us. And so He's al-Ghani subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's independent subhanahu wa ta'ala and self-sufficient. He doesn't need anything from anyone. And so we see that the entirety of Islam is for our benefit. The commands Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, and the prohibitions He gives us, they're for our benefit. They're for our interest. It's for the betterment of humanity. And this is the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala demonstrating for us His rahmah, that He made our worship that which benefits us. Right? Our worship isn't some kind of like just rituals that we do isolated, pray for hours on end, and just make these sacrifices that really don't have any benefit to us. Rather, the entirety, even our ibadah, is to our benefit. It's to lift us, to purify us, to raise us. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, you see in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَقَدْ أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكُمْ كِتَابًا فِيهِ ذِكْرُكُمْ. Indeed, we have revealed to you a book in which is your dhikr, it's your sharaf, it's your honor, your dignity. أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Do you not understand? Do you not see this? Right? This is addressing the kuffar of Quraysh. Like, this book will raise you up. It will only help you excel in all aspects of your life. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you that you're defiant and rebellious, as if this deen is going to, for example, in some way harm you or cause you to fall backwards or something of that sort, right? So this is the beauty of our deen. And so one aspect of our deen is the emphasis on the human mind. And we talked a little bit about this. Before we said that the term aql is something that restrains. So the human mind is the what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in charge of us, our intellect. And that is what restrains us. Because without the intellect, we have our bestial nature takes over. Meaning we become very impulsive, we become very greedy, We become very angry, we become very selfish, we become very impulsive, we make bad judgment, our judgment is clouded, and so on and so forth. The aql is the center. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it the center of command, the mind of the human being. And therefore, anything that harms the mind is prohibited. Preserving the mind is one of the objectives of Sharia. And so, in the maqasid al-Sharia, the scholars, they took a kind of an analysis of the entirety of Islam. And they took all of the commands of Sharia, all of the wajibat, all of the muharramat, the awamir and the nawahi, all the commands and prohibitions. And they said, if we were to summarize Islam, we can summarize it in 5 objectives. Islam has 5 objectives. The preservation of one's religion and faith with Allah, the preservation of one's intellect, hifdh al-aql, and this is what they call the maqasid al-sharia, right? The preservation of one's wealth, the preservation of human life, and the preservation of human lineage and family, hifdh al-nasab. And so this is al-maqasid al-sharia, and some scholars they add hifdh al-jama'ah, or the preservation of community as well. And they say if you look at the entirety of Islam, this is it. The entirety of Islam, to be summarized, is to fulfill these objectives. One of these objectives, or all of these objectives, or multiple of them together. And so the aql is really important to speak about. And it is key to our quality as human beings, is our intelligence. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when subhanAllah you see, just in reality, when somebody has a cognitive disability, you see that their ability to function intelligently goes away as their cognition regresses. For those who've seen maybe elders or family members of dementia, or when a person subhanAllah experiences any type of serious psychiatric disorder or cognitive dysfunctioning, you see how that impairs their ability to function as a human being. And so preserving the aql is at the heart of our deen. It's at the core of our deen. And when we look at the ahadith of the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, and we look at the alamat al-sa'a, you see that a lot of the signs are rooted in the ittirab of the uqul al-nas, the disruption of people's mind. A lot of the fitan, they're rooted in the ittirab, the disruption of people's minds. Not just first and foremost morally, also emotionally, and also even cognitively. You see that there's an implication that people are, for example, one hadith, يصبح الرجل مؤمنا ويمسي كافرا ويمسي مؤمنا ويصبح كافرا, that a man will go to bed rise as a believer, end his day as a disbeliever, and then end his day or end his day as a disbeliever and rise as a believer, right? There's this confusion. There's people that don't have a sense of confidence in what they believe in. So they're Muslim one time, they're disbeliever another time, they're back and forth, they're very confused. In another hadith, Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, يرفع العلم ويكثر الجهل, knowledge will be lifted and ignorance will become prominent. And then at the end of this riwayah narrated by Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, it says that وترى الناس سكارى وما هم بسكارى ولكن عزبت عقولهم. You will see the people as if they're intoxicated. First of all, it says that knowledge will be lifted, ignorance will become widespread. And but you will see people as if they're intoxicated, as if they're cognitively impaired, right? When you say intoxication is what? There's some type of cognitive impairment, right? They're not thinking in a reasonable, rational manner. There's a disruption to their judgment and their critical thinking and just their awareness. And so the hadith says, وَتَرَى النَّاسَ سُكَارَى, people, you will see people in society at that time as if they're intoxicated. وَمَا هُمْ بِسُكَارَى, but they're not intoxicated. There isn't a serious cognitive impairment. وَلَكِنْ عَزَبَتْ عُقُولُهُم. Their uqul has been impaired, and so their ability to make sound judgment, their ability to think clearly has been impaired. And subhanAllah, right? When do people's judgment is impaired? When they're emotional? For example, for sure, substance impairs a person's ability to think and have sound judgment. So drinking, any types of intoxications, drugs, so on. Also, when a person is emotionally disrupted. When you're angry, when you're really sad, when you're really fearful, your judgment is very off. You don't trust yourself. When you're overwhelmed, when you're exhausted, you make the worst decisions. You make the worst decisions. So your aql is impaired. So our functioning to think, to make sound judgment is impaired by the disruption to our emotional stability. And so I share this because it connects directly to our spiritual development and to our condition with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to our function as a human beings in life in general. And so the next few nights, inshallah ta'ala, I wanted to just kind of lay the ground for us so that, you know, we kind of have an idea like what the importance of this topic. We're going to be, inshallah ta'ala, connecting this to spiritual development, moral decisions and behavior, relationships. We're going to connect it to, of course, ibadah. And so we're going to kind of speak, and then we're going to also speak about just what's going on in our society and how does this connect, right? And we're going to talk about important signs and symptoms and also important remedies to taking care of one's uqul, one's intelligence and mind. And so we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant this well-being. We ask Allah to grant us afiyah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve for us our minds and hearts and bodies. We ask Allah for ease in all our affairs. Allahumma ameen wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.